Michelle has brought this event on today, so was it
Charlotte,
sorry Charlotte. Sorry.
There's only 3 of us.
Sorry Charlotte. So yeah, basically it's to introduce people to fishing, whatever skill levels you have got, not got. We're here today to talk about fishing, the benefits of fishing and all the different disciplines that there are, if you want to specialise or do. Just a quick thing on the health and safety. If the fire alarm goes off, there's 2 fire exits which we'll vacate from. We've signed in, so we can just do a quick look to make sure everybody's alright. Again, if there's a power cut, there's no lighting, we just go out through that main entrance there. Before I start introductions, any questions?
Another.
Sorry, you know what's that?
So we've got Dave Lees from the Angling Trust today. I've got Ian Wood from the Environmental Agency, and we've also Tackling Minds who do mental health, fishing issues, coaching, things like that. So we're all just going to be doing. We'll have a couple of sessions, talks, and then we've got equipment you can go through, see what you want to have a look at, have a go at trying things. Any questions, we'll answer them to the best of our ability. So with that, I'll now pass you on to Tackling Minds with Dave Lyons.
Right. Nice seeing you guys. Thanks for turning up for a start. So yeah, I'm Dave. I formed Tackling Minds last year. A bit of a backstory about myself is I struggled with my own mental health, generalised anxiety. It stemmed from going out, socialising with friends, having a drink like the majority of people do in this day and age, and yeah, my anxiety crept in, and cut a long story short, I started to self-medicate with anxiety, through my anxiety. Unfortunately, that led me on a really dark path with my mental health, or with alcohol addiction, should I say. And yeah, unfortunately, I've really struggled with staying sober over the last few years. I've done 4 detoxes to date. My last relapse, I was 18 months into my sobriety. I was over in Bali on my own. When COVID hit, unfortunately, I got stranded over in Bali. My mental health was like really all-time low. I wasn't doing well at all. And for some stupid reason, I decided to pick up a drink while I was out there, probably in the worst country you could ever imagine, to actually relapse in my situation. And yeah, basically I was stranded on doing no flights coming in and out of the country. I was on my own, having issues with my credit cards, cash cards, etc. Again, I keep saying it, but cut a long story short, I managed to get on the last flight out of Bali, believe it or not, through the help of she was my friend at the time, Jenny, and my parents. So managed to get back home to England, started my journey into detox, which for anybody that knows, it's something that doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, you have to wait months and months, but it got to the point where I was so literally got a couple of months left to live the way my body was. I wasn't holding down food or anything. So yeah, basically rushed into a detox facility to start my detox, and yeah, that was difficult. My body shut down. I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't eat. I was, around the clock care. I was, I really pushed it as far as I could go, and I thought, this is, what have I done to myself, basically. It was quite scary times. So got out detox, got on the straight and narrow again, so to speak, back into my recovery. Jenny, who helped me get back from Bali, is now my partner. So we've got a great relationship there. And yeah, I got back into my fishing. I settled back down at home, and I moved across from Hollywood Lake. I'm not too sure if many of you know Hollywood Lake in Rochdale. So I'm waking up every day overlooking Hollywood Lake, and I'm thinking, I used to fish years ago. I'm going to pick the rod up again and take it out, do a bit of pike fishing. So yeah, I got into my fishing again, and I could see what it was doing for me. I was getting that excitement and wanting to get out on the bank again, just having that buzz back that I'd not got back for years, especially when I was in my recovery stage with my alcoholism. And yeah, I just thought, this is better than any medication that I've been on. I've been on bloody hundreds of medications, talking therapy, CBT, etc. And I thought, if this is working for me, you know, surely it's got to work for somebody else. So I'm just having a chat with my mate, just explaining my situation with it, and I just said, I'm going to put it out there, set up a Facebook page, and if it's helping one more person, great. If it's helping 2-3 people, whatever, then excellent. So before you know it, the Facebook page really took hold and like started to gather momentum. I've got a call from the Angling Trust to say, like, we like what you're doing, you know, we can offer this support, which was great to sort of be recognised of the governing body of angling was, I thought at the time, it still is was an amazing thing. So before you know it, there's like hundreds of people following the page, it's accumulated thousands of people following the page, and the support from the angling community of people who could resonate with what I'd been going through in my personal journey. People wanting to get involved in the fishing, not just myself, like the volunteer side of things, you know, people just wanting to come together and help. Again, the support from the Angling Trust on Duncan, who just saying a few words then, just like the support has been like outstanding, just like honestly really overwhelming. And like I know for a fact, like with Duncan, I'm a volunteer, like the friends I've met through this, you know, they've become really good friends who I can open up to and talk about my personal issues as well. Which is, you know, talking about your own mental health, your own issues is a massive thing, as most of us know. So yeah, things just again started to take momentum, as I said, like because I knew it had something in it, and I'd read somewhere that it was being recognised within certain fishing groups that I'd worked with the NHS, but nothing to the extent where I wanted it to be publicised and be known on a national scale. So started working with different NHS departments, getting it prescribed on the NHS, and we was working with a local organisation in Rochdale, a number of organisations set up frameworks so you can actually go into the GP to prescribe fishing, which was, it's been used working with the NHS, but never actually going sitting down with a doctor to prescribe it as the medication, so to speak. So I decided upon myself, I'm going to make the most of this, I'm going to publicise this as much as I can, speak to the papers, local radios, and before you know it, just again, things gathered momentum, and before you knew it, things snowballed, and the publicity you got, just for the recognition it got on the NHS was massive for us, to get that publicity, but more importantly for angling in general. So on the back of that, there's been a number of other clubs setting up similar initiatives, which can only be a great thing for the sport. So yeah, that's how it began, and we were successful in a number of funding, so we were allowed to accumulate our own tackle. We were borrowing our tackle initially off Duncan, kindly enough, on his club. So yeah, we managed to get our own equipment, running numerous groups, having open days. It helped like literally over a couple of hundred people easily this year now, working with mental health organisations, different departments of the NHS, and again, just things have just got picked up, and just like the attention, the momentum, it's just how it's continued. I'm still shocked, I'm surprised myself how it has done, but deservedly, angling needs to be recognised in this light. And recently we've just been invited to do the first ever scientific research between the link between fishing and mental health, which is pioneering, groundbreaking in itself. Nothing of this type has ever been done before. So rather than us anglers know, we know the benefits of what it does for our mental health and our well-being, but to actually have a professor on his team to actually be doing some scientific research into this and having the hard evidence there is not only not benefit our organisation, but the whole of the angling community, and what it will bring after the research comes out is it's going to be really exciting stuff, and it's definitely going to be a massive improvement for the angling as a whole. So that's where we're up to now. So it's been, I'm 18 and a half months sober. I've made a load of good friends through what I'm doing. I love my fishing again. I'm getting out in the fresh air, engaging with people I wouldn't dream of meeting about last year, and everything's just amazing. I'm going from strength to strength. So this is Dave, one of our lead volunteers. Dave will probably want to say a few words as well. So nice to meet you guys, and hopefully get you out on the bank pretty soon as well.
Thank you, Dave.
So my name's Dave, and I'm a level 2 coach with Tackling Minds.
maybe it's over a year ago, saw the Facebook page and I applied. And I got my level 2 coach when I was retired. So I'm not going to talk much about, when we take people on the bank, I've just got a few rules with the groups. One is we respect each other. There's no verbal or physical abuse. We have no alcohol or drugs on the bank. We're there just to fish. But none of us are trained in mental health. We'll listen, we'll talk. All we want is people to enjoy it, get out fishing. As a group, we supply everything apart from transporting the fish. We can't guarantee you're going to catch. It's fishing. But there's not much else really we can talk about. It's just part of we want people to get out and enjoy themselves. As you get to know groups, you see them start to open up, they'll start to talk to you more. We've had different groups, different things. And you actually work and adapt to the groups and find out what they want. A lot of the time they don't want to fish. They'll sit and fish, but they want to talk. So we actually take that into account as well. We don't say it's a set time, we don't say you've got to sit here. People want to get up and walk. So we're acceptable in what they want to do. We will teach people to fish, we will help them fish. But we'll also listen. And as a group, I think that's what we're quite good at. That's all we do. And that's my short and sweet bit about what we're here for. So I'll hand you over. Duncan's going back to introduce.
Right, cheers, thank you, Dave.
Nice one, Dave.
Appreciate it. Right, what we'll do now is I'll pass you on to Dave Lees from the Angling Trust on the VBS, which is the Voluntary Bailiff Service, about the things that one of the things that the Angling Trust do to help negotiate with fishing and training that's possible if you want to get more involved into fishing. So Dave, if you can pass on to yourself, please.
Cheers, Doug. Hello everybody, there's a couple of new people joined us, isn't there? So we've got 4 now, that's great, isn't it? Yeah, Dave Lees, I'm a retired cop from the Met and GMP, 30 years, and 6 years ago, after I retired, a job came up through NARPO, which is the Association of Retired Police Officers, with the Angling Trust, and I applied for it and was fortunate to get it. Work very closely with the EA. We work under a contract from the EA. Ian Wood over there is an EA officer, EA enforcement officer. And my role is to cover the whole of the North West as the regional enforcement support manager. So what that role entails is assisting the police and the EA and liaising with all angling clubs, any commercial fisheries, trying to address any issues and problems that they've got. So I also run a team of volunteer bailiffs. Duncan is one, probably the top lad in the team. We've got nearly 100 in the Northwest. We have it split up into area coordinators as well, like sergeants if you like, to help, because it's a big area to cover, and part-time 3 days a week. We do a lot of engagement with clubs. We provide funding through the Angling Trust, the Angling Recruitment Fund, but we're there to support you as individual anglers, and we're there to support you as clubs, commercial syndicates, anything. I think you two gents have explained to me you've come back to fishing after a few years and you're getting back into it. Can I just ask the other people in the audience, what's your experience of fishing, sir?
I started as a kid and then stopped for a while.
Right.
And then took the kids fishing and took the grandson fishing. That's got me into it again.
So you're back into it. How long have you been back into it?
Probably about 2 years, but not just doing it on holiday and things like
Yeah, right, okay. What about yourself, sir?
Myself, yeah. Well, I used to fish regular when I was younger, obviously, and I've not fished for about 5 years now. Only on and off, but I just want to find out where I can go fishing here.
Right.
Because I've come from Clevis, actually. I moved up here 3 months ago.
Right.
So I'm not familiar with the area properly.
We
I
can assist
noticed
you with
there's one near the bridge. Is it Bridge Anglers? I just took over at the top end of Unsworth, Downcastle Road.
That's, yeah, it's Little Britain Anglers that.
Yeah.
We've just taken over that one, but we've got all the contacts. We can put you in touch with all those clubs. We can sort that for you.
Thank you.
I think we'll start with the absolute basics, really, if you don't mind, and that's the legality. So you don't get in the mire and get reported by someone like Ian and spoils your day's fishing, and you get a fine of 250, 300 quid for not having a rod licence. So again, if you're new to fishing, things change. The one thing that doesn't change is the rod licence, which is a form of tax. It's a hypothecated tax, so that's the good news. And what that means, hypothecated tax means that any funds that are raised by the £30 rod licence have got to go back into fishing. So they can't go into the Chancellor's office and be spent on something else. They've got to come back into fishing, usually through the Environment Agency, who then will use it for the good of fishing, or, you know, some of it might come to us for the Angling Improvement Fund, otter fencing, putting some nice staging in so you can coach kids and stuff like that. You may already be aware what the angling, what your rod licence looks like. That's the current one. There is one for salmon and sea trout, which is a bit more expensive, but there's a few coming back into the Mersey Valley, isn't there? We've got a salmon run up the Goyt now, haven't we? A small one. So the rivers are improving in the Mersey catchment area. A lot of the hard work that Ian and his team have done, and United Utilities have done a fair bit of work. There's still a problem, as you've probably seen in the press, with sewage pollution and overflows and CSOs and stuff like that. So you buy your rod licence for 30 quid. That's not wasted money. That's helping to secure fishing and to improve fishing. And what they look like in reality, a couple of my old ones here, is like that. The side at the back and they've got a date on it. Do you want to expand on that? Because you're looking at a database now, aren't you? A new PDF to check them on the bank and all that one.
Yeah, so I mean, the first point I want to make is, yeah, it's 30 quid a year. Last week we were running around we aerated 3 marinas on the Trent and Mersey Canal with our kit and staff, and saved thousands and thousands of fish from pollution. We lifted a fish trap from the River Mersey in Sale the other day. You know, again, that's capable of taking lots of fish out of the rivers. The money that goes to the rod licence pays for our service. So, you know, it's protecting fish and improving the environment.
Sorry, when you say a fish trap, is that something a poacher's put in or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So big long tight, you know what keep net is? Big long keep net with holes in, with bait inside, and dropped in the river at the side, tied off on a stake, and basically it's catching all the little fry. Like the bulk of it was minnows, but there were small skimmers in there, little roach and stuff, and basically removing all the little fry out of the river. And we've had some more serious cases going back a few years with gill nets and things, again on the Mersey and in other places. Large scale sort of removal of fish. Without us, that would be just going on unchecked. So we are involved and concerned with protecting fisheries.
Can I ask a really naive question?
Cool.
Why do they want them if they're so little? Like, what are they doing with all that?
We believe that it was an East Asian or Oriental person setting them from the description that we got on the incident report, and it's their culture that perhaps they're used in cooking or whatever. So
a lot of countries in Europe, actually, it's legal to do it because they actually catch for food. They use eat a lot of freshwater fish, which over here we don't.
Yeah.
But Germany and a lot of countries that way actually do. Hungary, Poland. So it's just the culture and society. It's the natural thing for them to do.
Yeah.
because they're landlocked, and obviously we would eat sea fish,
Yeah.
so their fish is freshwater fish.
Yeah.
You know, cultural differences. So I won't go on for too long. So the rod licence, yes, we can turn up at any inland fishery, river, and require production of a rod licence. Just because you've paid the fishery owner to fish doesn't, you know, and it's private land, we have a power of entry, we can still go on and request to see fishing licences. Don't risk it for a biscuit. If you are going out with a rod in your hand and fishing, buy a rod licence. Would be a day licence, an 8-day licence, or the easiest thing to do is just get a full one, and then you can fish at any point in the year. Don't forget to renew it, set a reminder in your phone, and yeah, just enjoy your fishing, really. We can check, we've got power to check on the police national computer, and really drill down on it. We have everybody's rod licence on the database, false names and addresses, I can get to the bottom of in a couple of minutes. Don't risk it for a biscuit.
It's not worth it. You need a rod licence if you're fishing in your own garden. So, you know, it isn't worth it. If you go on the Angling Trust website, every quarter we publish the prosecutions. And I think, I was looking on it last night, the highest fine, and it must have been extenuating circumstances, but it was 850 quid for fishing without a rod licence for a 30 quid licence. A lot of anglers spend that day for a weekend session. Yeah, you know. So
That's one sort of random direct, isn't it?
well, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I've just spent 35 quid in bait in my car for tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. So you know. So Ian's explained that side of it. There's going to bring you back in a second. On top of that, the angling law in this country is quite complicated and convoluted, really. We touched on migrant anglers before from Eastern Europe and places like that. The culture over there is to take fish for the pot, always has been, whereas the culture in this country, probably since the Second World War, is to catch and release, to fish for sport. So we run a project called the Building Bridges project, where we employ 8 European anglers. I nearly said Eastern European anglers because that's where it started with mainly Polish anglers, but migration changes every year. So you know you might have Syrian, you might have Iraqi immigration, you've got from all over the world. First of all, there's a language barrier usually when these people come into this country. So understanding the angling laws with, you know, even if you've got perfect English, it can be difficult. But if you've got a language barrier in between you and the laws and regulations, you've no chance. So we do all that. We provide these booklets, which I've just handed out, and we provide them in lots of different languages, so that people have got a reference. They're all on our website. Our Building Bridges team, Yanis Kanzik runs it. They're very good at getting into migrant communities on social media and educating and guiding them away from committing offences. What we had, and we still do have it to a lesser degree now, but going back when I first started this job 6 years ago, there was a lot of racism on social media posts about migrant anglers. Some, you know, there's a very, very small majority who are definite poachers, because what you've got to consider over in Poland, I think there's 5,000 fisheries enforcement officers, warranted officers like him, but they're armed, they have firearms, they have all kinds of ribs, they have quad bikes, they have everything. And I think they've got 5,000 volunteers on top of that, because poaching is such an issue there. It's far more criminalised than it is in this country. So your migrant angler comes across here and sees the enforcement here and thinks, maybe it's a bit easier here. I can use my, you know, if that way inclined, I can use my language as an excuse, or lack of English as an excuse. So we've addressed all that. We go into migrant Sunday schools and we educate the kids, who educate up to the parents. No, you can't do that, Daddy, anymore. You know, I've had this lesson at school. They do a fantastic job. So we do all of that. We also, as I said, recruit and train volunteer bailiffs to be extra eyes and ears for Ian and the Environment Agency and for the police. We have an intelligence manager who covers the whole country, so if I get some intelligence through, it gets sanitised, it gets put on what's called a 5x5 form, and it gets sent through to the relevant enforcement agencies. The person who's giving that information is completely kept out of the loop, so no one will never know it's come from you or whoever. But we also cover health and safety for our volunteers, just give them out. When you're fishing, it is a risky environment, as you know. It's you know, cold water shock if you slip down the bank and go into the river. If you fell in the river early at this time of year, you'd probably get cold water shock, I would think. You've also got certain diseases. We've talked about sewage, combined sewage overflows going into the river, so there's risk of infection from the bugs that might be in that on some rivers. But you've also got Wheels disease, which is what this tells you about. Please have a read of it, it's quite important, because if you've got cut on your hand and you get some rat urine in it or some other contaminants, it can be really serious. So these cards, I can get more if anyone wants any more of these cards. They're quite, I've got a lot of them. Just trying to think, anything else? Do you want to touch on bylaws? Without going into too much detail.
The Coarse fish closed season now only applies to rivers. So on the 16th of March, the rivers shut and they open on the 16th of June. And there is a bylaw offence if anybody anybody fishes a river between those 2 days. That's as much as I want to go into it.
Your rod needs to be attended on a long time it's in the water as well. You can't walk 30 metres away to buy a bacon butter. So, you know, you can't get done for stuff like that. So, all these laws are there to protect the fish, really, and to protect the fishery. In
Can I
terms
just mention something?
What?
If the people haven't fished for a long time, maybe when you first bought your licences, they ran from April to April. They now run 12 months from the day you buy them.
Yeah.
So it's a rolling 12
It's a
months.
rolling 12 months.
Yeah,
It's
which
not.
is better.
It used to be a set time every year it run out.
You can also buy your road licences online.
Yeah.
And then you get a reminder.
Yeah.
just be careful when you go online and make sure it's the gov.uk, because there's a couple of road websites there that will charge you an admin fee of about 20 quid. There's no need, you can go straight to the government website and buy it off there. Or you can pop into the post office and buy them there. Support wise, you're going to give a bit on coaching and all the rest of it shortly. So, any more questions from yourself?
Yeah, just one. If you're fishing on a river and you pull out a salmon, technically illegal because if you're on just what do you do?
Put it back.
Put it back.
Yeah,
You
well,
look after
right.
12 and you put it back.
You can't screen out salmon from taking your bait and taking it from somewhere else. If you haven't got a salmon licence, you didn't intend to catch it, put it back.
Yeah, that's all right.
If you continue fishing though, your method of fishing is such that you're catching salmon after salmon after salmon, then you know.
Just
a one-off.
But for as bad as meat fishing, you're happy that anything comes out.
Is it
We've
not
all
just,
been there, haven't we?
if you fish with maggot or worm, you're okay? If it's just the odd catch? I thought it was for fly
There's a
fishing.
bait bylaw, right? We're getting dragged into bylaws. So there is a bait bylaw as well during the closed season on rivers, where you're not allowed to use maggots. So you can fish with fly, worm, spinner, artificial lure, something else which escapes me. Prawn.
All these laws, isn't there? There's all.
Yeah, it's artificial lure. Basically, that's to try and avoid you catching coarse fish.
Is that information on the website?
Yeah,
Right, okay.
yeah.
Right. I think that's about it for us, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Ian. Right, well, I'm Duncan Mottershead, Angling Trust Level 2 Course and Game Coach. I'm one of the coaches in this area. There's several, all clubs more or less have them in this area. They run events and you need a level 2 to run an event. Basically what we do is, it's free fishing. They'll advertise it, they'll have days, Ramsbottom Angling at Clarence Park, Lido, Thursday nights, they've got open sessions there, you go down, everything's provided. They do Working William the 4th in Manchester. We usually do a Saturday morning, but we're approached by various groups. We help out tackling mines, but we do other groups, social groups, ethnic groups, whoever wants to learn to fish. The approaches, we'll sort them out, and we do during the week. Everything's usually provided. We've all got web pages. Anybody can ask a question, and you'll usually get an answer. If you go on the Angling Trust website, you've got Find a Coach on there, so you can look in your area to see coaches. You can see clubs, so you've got contact details, so you can get to all the clubs in your area, all the coaches. All the coaches who are level 2 are all DBS checked. The first aid it takes 8 weekends to be a level 2 coach. It's an intense course, because at the end of the day you have to do the risk assessment and the methods, what you're going to do, the group you're going to have, you've got to assess it all. So you have to be trained to do that. The Angling Trust cover us, we've got public liability insurance for every event that we do. It's all logged, it's all registered, and it's a rolling 12 months depending on what happens. We've got Get Into Fishing Month, which is usually September because all the kids are off. There's various events. If you go on the Angling Trust website, you go on the northwest area, you've got everything that's going on there. You've got the Canals and River Trust, so you've got things that are going on the canals. And there's all the local clubs, whether it's Coarse, Game, Sea Fishing. They're all advertising to let you know what the events are, how you can book on. Some you can just turn up, some you need to book on. because they need to have specific numbers because of the size of the venue that they've got, so they can rotate people on it's half an hour basis, however they want to work it. There's not really the coaches they're out there. It's down to yourselves. If you want to learn something, contact your local club. If you want to specialise, there's specialist coaches out there that just deal with carp fishing, your fly fishing and all that kind of stuff. Just got a couple of things here. The Angling Trust run different kind of things. So at the moment we've got Stop the Spread, which is when you're going on to different venues, it's making sure that once you're finished on a venue, you clean your tackle, your boots, your clothing, everything else before you move on to the next venue, so you don't spread any invasive species or any kind of plants, bugs or anything like that, because that's how things can get spread with your tackle. You keep next to landing nets, there's different chemicals, but the best way to clean them is ultraviolet sunlight. Leave them out in the back, wash them down with a hose and leave them to dry by sunlight. That cleans everything. That's the best simple way of doing anything. So I've got these here. These are Stop the Spread. It's all about invasive species and what you can do as an angler to stop things being taken from place to place. It's before David and Ian were on about reporting stuff. These are just a flyer, tells you again how to just put things, how the process works and does. Cheers. So again, there's lots of stuff. There's if you go on the Angling Trust website, there's Anglers Against Pollution, where they're asking you to sign up, petition your local MP. Stuff goes on. If you see anything, report it. Make a note, make sure you've got the Environmental Agency hotline number on your phone. So if you see anything, you can ring it up straight away, put it through, it gets logged, you'll get a job number, and that way then it builds up so we can see where there's persistent polluting, there's persistent stuff. Yeah, as a VBS we do, I'll go around the lakes and check, but I'm looking for certain things, stuff that poachers will put up, and some of the stuff they actually put up is unbelievable. I've got a Budweiser bottle with some rope or some string tied around it, and they've thrown a method feeder in with hooks with white beads on, and that's stuck on the bottom. So it just catches the fish and just hooks the fish till they come back. I mean, signs are usually shopping bags, plastic bags are tied onto trees or bushes at the side of the water, so that means there's something round there. You've got your wooden pegs, there's a nail and it's got a piece of line on it. You pull that line out, you've got something on the end of it. They use all sorts of different methods. There's planks of wood that's painted on one side and blank on the other. When there's a fish on, it's turned over so they know they've got a fish on it. So with the VBS, we're always training and looking how they are going to be doing things so we can know what they're up to. We've got to be as sneaky as they are, so to speak. But I've got these getting to fishing. These details about fishing, different bodies, governing bodies, tackle companies, things like that you can contact and just give you an idea. There's plenty of stuff out there on the website. Again, Angling Trust has certain tackle manufacturers and bait dealers where you can get, if you're a member or your club's a member, you've got your club ID, you can get on there to get things at a cheaper discount because you're an Angling Trust member. There'll be more coming on as it goes on. So I think that's basically it. All I could ask is if there's any questions anybody would like to ask? No? You're alright?
Yeah.
Well, we've got along some tackle and bits and bobs, so I don't know if you want to have a look at anything in particular, or there's some sort of method you want to know about, any knots or rigs or setups or anything like that. So we've got stuff here if you'd like to have a look at anything. Or
Just get it all out done.
Sorry?
Just get it all out.
Can I ask a quick question? Does anybody mind photos being taken?
We've got consent. It's got
We've got consent forms, but we don't want to take pictures of anybody if you don't want wish to be on. Because it could go on particular tackle in mine's outside.
There's nobody on ours. It's just us.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. Well, that's it, folks.
Before you all get, your tackle out, can I ask, please, that you fill in some feedback forms for me, because developing from this, what I want to do is always improve what we're doing. But for everybody who doesn't know already, as part of this kind of programme, as well as going out and doing fishing, we're also wanting to do like a survival day on the Bearville, survival day with the National Lancashire Wildlife Trust. And the more information that I can get about this session and how to contact you, the more I can get in touch with you and arrange these things for in the new year. So if you can, take these and a pen. Thank you. I'll be very grateful. I'll bring one over to you. So there you go. Thank you.
Right, yeah, well that's it. Thank you, folks.
Cheers, Paul.
Can I give you this? Is that all right?